Today I learned a field of seagrass converts carbon dioxide to oxygen at over 8x the rate of a forest the same size. Today I learned after the 2011 earthquake in Japan, members of the Yakuza gathered supplies and gave food to the victims. Some even opened their offices to people who couldn't return home. Some people felt like their response was much quicker and efficient than that of the government. Today I learned a Guatemalan boy saw soldiers come into his village and murder his parents along with the rest of the village, was adopted and raised in an abusive household by one of the men who massacred the villagers, and later gave testimony that sent the killer to prison with a 6,000-year sentence. Today I learned David Bowie was punched in the left eye as a teenager, leaving it permanently dilated. He later thanked his friend, George Underwood, for doing so, saying it gave him a kind of mystique. This mystique helped enhance some of Bowie's most iconic images. Today I learned bootlegger Marvin Popcorn Sutton killed himself rather than report to federal prison after being convicted of moonshining offenses. He prepared his grave footstone years in advance and had it by his front porch and kept his casket in his living room. The epitaph read, "Popcorn said fuck you." Today I learned that Jurassic Park's visual effects were so groundbreaking to filmmakers that it inspired Peter Jackson to begin work on Lord of the Rings, George Lucas to start on the Star Wars prequels, and Stanley Kubrick to invest in his pet project, AI artificial intelligence. Jurassic Park film. Today I learned of the Inuit of northwest Greenland, the world's northernmost people. When contact was made in 1818 they had been isolated for several hundred years and were completely unaware of the existence of other humans. Today I learned about Mist Island, a proposed theme park at Disney World. A limited number of guests would get ferried to an 11-acre island designed like Mist. They'd spend hours there, exploring areas and discovering clues non-linearly. Theoretically, number 2 guests would have the same adventure. Today I learned Tim Burton did not direct Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas. Henry Selick, director of James and the Giant Peach and Coraline, carried out the task, due to Burton having prior commitments to Batman Returns. Today I learned Macy's department store declined to be featured in the movie Elf because they didn't like the idea that there was a fake Santa working there and felt it would blow the illusion for kids. Today I learned that Tolkien wrote yearly letters to his children as if they were from Father Christmas. They started off as simple Happy Christmas letters but grew more complex, including a polar bear sidekick, the man on the moon, goblins, snow elves, pictures, and he even developed an Arctic language. Today I learned that a man named Goran Kropp from Sweden rode his bicycle to Nepal, climbed Mount Everest alone without Sherpas or bottled oxygen, then cycled back to Sweden again. Today I learned of number 16, the oldest known spider. She was a wild trapdoor spider who lived in an Australian burrow. She was studied by researchers from 1973 until today I learned 2016, when her burrow was found damaged and empty, likely due to a parasitic wasp attack. She was 43 years old. Today I learned that in September 1945 Australian journalist Wilfred Burchett defied U.S. restrictions and snuck into Hiroshima by train. Burchett was the first to tell the world about the effects of radiation on the victims of the bombing, which the U.S. denied both before and after his story was published. Today I learned that Eratosthenes, a Greek mathematician and astronomer, 276 BC, measured of Earth's circumference by using the shadow angles from the Sun in 2 locations. He calculated it was 39,375 kilometers, which is 1.4% less than the real number of 40,076 kilometers. Today I learned for his role in the Oklahoma City bombing, 1995, Terry Nichols was sentenced to 161 life sentences plus 9,300 years, without parole. His sentence is declared as the longest officially confirmed sentence ever handed down in the world. Today I learned the first American soldier to land on the beach during the invasion of Normandy was shot twice and not only survived, but lived to be 90 years old. Today I learned because of a typographical error, a wicked Bible stated that, "Thou shalt commit adultery." Published in 1631, this Bible is also known as an adulterous Bible, or the Sinner's Bible. Only several hundred copies remain and they're worth $100,000 to collectors. Today I learned Billy Bob Thornton did get drunk for scenes in Bad Santa. In the escalator fall scene, Thornton actually passed out after drinking 3 glasses of red wine for breakfast, followed by vodkas and cranberry juice, then a few Bud Lights. Today I learned when actor Nick Frost Cornetto trilogy was young his parents' business tanked. They had to move into a neighbor's home and his mother suffered a stroke from stress. Nick dropped out of school and worked to support his family. He was just working as a waiter when Simon Pegg cast him in Spaced. Today I learned Dave Thomas named the hamburger chain, Wendy's, after his daughter Melinda. Wendy was actually born Melinda Lou Thomas, but her siblings had difficulty pronouncing her name and called her Wenda. Thus, the nickname Wendy was born. Today I learned in 1935, in a newly built Sydney aquarium, a tiger shark vomited a human arm that belonged to a man that went missing recently, which sparked a murder mystery when it was discovered the arm was severed with a knife instead of being bitten off. Today I learned in the sea between Australia and New Zealand, there's an island taller than it is wide. Ball's Pyramid only measures 300 meters across, yet peaks at 562 meters in elevation. Today I learned the 1947 classic, It's a Wonderful Life, was a box office flop, and didn't become popular until today I learned the late 70s when its copyright expired and TV channels could play it for free. Today I learned in 1939 a 24-year-old Orson Welles attempted to adapt Conrad's Heart of Darkness but had to cancel due to budget constraints. The studio asked him for a more conventional project. He suggested a B film of his, an exploration of a newspaper tycoon's rise and downfall. He called it Citizen Kane.